Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Total NASL Roundtable. I'm joined by Jason this week. How are you tonight, Jason?
Doing awesome. Top of the table. Can't complain.
Yeah, he's talking about his Carolina Railhawks. They are currently top of the table, and I remember, I think it was the preview show that we had a couple weeks ago, and we were listening to Jason talk about his team, and I personally thought that he was overhyping the Carolina Railhawks.
What?
But it sort of looks like they just got lucky, man. They got lucky so far that they're top of the table. Am I wrong, Jason?
Totally. I feel like we're taking advantage of early team chemistry where a lot of teams had so many new guys to the starting 11. At the Railhawks, we really had our starting 11 untouched, minus some key improvements on the defense. Our entire offense is similar guys, or at least guys that we're familiar with. So, I'm really happy with how the team is playing. I think we're ahead of the curve right now. We're playing as a team. We'll see what happens as the rest of the league kind of catches up with their chemistry.
Yeah, so let's jump into the Carolina Railhawks. You guys are unbeatable. No one can stop them, but hopefully the Cosmos can stop you come May 1st, right? That will be a great match.
It'll be a fun one, yeah. So if you want to start with do you want to start with the Railhawks game or the Jacksonville game? Because that was Friday.
Yeah, let's start with the Jacksonville match. That was on Friday night on beIN Sports.
Yeah, so that one was Jacksonville's first home game, I believe, and they hosted their the Miami FC. And if Logie was here, he would definitely I don't know if he's already lost. I don't know if he's had his voice back all the screaming like he was doing. Caught him on TV a couple times. So shout out to you, Logie. But yeah, the Jacksonville ended up winning 2-1. They really seemed to dominate this match all around. Did you have any impressions from it, John?
No, like Jacksonville Armada, they really shocked me. I was watching the match and I predicted Miami was gonna win, and out of nowhere, the Armada just kept on scoring, and I was like, "Whoa!" They're actually it's not that I was surprised that they are a good squad. I knew Tony Meola was gonna make the squad so much better, but it didn't happen until the Miami FC match. So the problem that they have is that they can't win on the road. And they are coming up this weekend against the Fort Lauderdale Strikers, which is not going to be an easy task. Another Coastal Cup match, another in-state rival, which it's so exciting to support a team in Florida because you can travel away. It's pretty close, or it's a nice drive. And then it's some great banter as well. So it's all good, right?
Yeah, I'm sure being in Florida, it's pretty fun being part of the NASL with having 4 teams on there. But the one big note to make for the Jacksonville game, Junior Sandoval had a Play of the Week nominated goal that he just totally killed him from outside the box, and it's kind of like bends away from the goalie, right into the net. So if you guys get a chance to look back at the highlight, that Junior Sandoval goal is definitely worth it. Jacksonville, they controlled the match. Here's one big takeaway about Miami. This is Miami's third game so far. And they are yet to score a goal in the second half of the game. Now, the first 2 games, they allowed late goals, surrendering to a draw. I'm beginning to doubt Miami's fortitude and ability to play consistently. Since the second half, they're definitely teams statistically as a second half team. So that's one alarming thing to consider when looking ahead at Miami matches.
Yeah, Miami FC on paper, it looks like a very talented squad. And I just think, like how Jason said, that the Railhawks are facing teams that haven't gelled together yet. I just think once Miami comes together, they're an expansion team, so I don't think a lot of people expect them or expect a lot out of them in the spring season. I really think that come the fall, Miami FC, Alice, we're going to see Nesta fully come together with his team. Maybe we may see him maybe take some players out and bring some new players in to fix the second half of the season for Miami FC.
Potentially. One big thing they do have going for them, though, is Danic.
Yes.
I'm not going to know how to pronounce
that guy's crazy. Yes.
He has his third goal in as many games and is tied with our Railhawks Austin Deleuze with 3 goals for the golden boot race.
Talking about Dario, right? I was fixing my NASL fantasy pool. Shouts out to Teo for putting that together. And I was like mid-table in the rankings, and I was like, how can I fix my squad? And I just threw Dario up front. So hopefully he scores like 3 goals this weekend.
He's
And
literally
that'd be
been all
great.
they've had.
Yes. So, I mean, like, it's not great just to depend on one player, but they need 9 of those players, and they'll be good, right?
Yeah. He put up exactly 1 goal every single match so far. So, I mean, just keep an eye on them. They're going to be an offensive threat, but I doubt that they'll be much, I guess, worthy to watch during the second half. They've folded every single time so far. But that's enough about Miami. Can we move on to our Railhawks boys?
Yes, the Railhawks are top of the table, guys. It's very exciting times in Cary, North Carolina. If you're not on the ground, Jason is, and he will take you through the best match in the NASL.
Okay. Well, I don't know if it was the best match of the weekend. I think your
But
Cosmos
in your opinion, Jason, in your opinion, it was the best
in
match.
my opinion, the best match of the weekend was the Cosmos losing to Indy. But we'll get to that. But the Railhawks are now sitting with 9 points on the table. The only team with 3 wins in 3 games, a perfect season so far. But this was definitely one that we had to grind out. We really started the match giving a lot of offensive pressing. Austin Deleuze, he could have scored. He had almost an empty net opportunity in like the second minute of the game, but Paiser doubled back. This was another play of the week domination. Paiser doubled back and was able to make a really nice save off of Austin Deleuze. A few minutes later, in the 7th minute, Nazal Baldawi had a breakaway, and he actually scored on Paiser, but they called it back for offsides. So really early in the game, in the first 10 minutes, we could have easily been up 2-0. But as it went, Paiser, he stayed on his head. He played an amazing game. I think he made a total of 6 saves out of 7 shots. But that 1 goal that we were able to squeak in, it was in the 47th minute, right as the second half started. And it was right in front of the supporters. Really exciting. Again, the Cipollani goal, another play of the week domination, and in my opinion, probably the best play of the week in terms of actual goal on the ball. I don't know if you actually seen it, but the curve that Cipollani's goal was absolutely amazing. Definitely worth watching back and get your highlight. But yeah, we ended up winning 1-0. I was impressed that Ottawa's defense was really able to snuff out so many of our offensive attacks. Paiser definitely played one of his best matches of the season so far. But I'm proud of our Railhawks being able to stick with it and dominating, or I should say controlling most of the match and being able to walk out with a 3rd win in as many games.
How about the Carolina Railhawks?
Yeah, Dan Linky, that's
never gets old, Jason. It never gets old.
I'm sure someone would disagree, but to us Railhawks fans, it would never get old. I agree.
No, it's just maybe one of the best calls out there, right? It's after when they score a goal, right?
Yep, it's after we score a goal. You have Dan Linky on his microphone, and the tifo that the supporters put out there this week was actually for Dan Linky, honoring him as being a 10-year announcer for the Railhawks. So again, Railhawks is their 10th year in the league. There's a lot of people that's been around since the very beginning. Dan Linky on the mic being one of them.
Yeah, so let's move on to the next match.
Yep, we had Indy 11 and New York Cosmos. So this was a game that your New York Cosmos, I really thought after they got that penalty kick by
Nico Kranjar.
Yeah. But I really thought as soon as that happened that they were going to be able to coast to a win because I thought that Indy was giving him nothing most of the game. But then, John, walk us through what happened. What actually transpired?
It was, I mean, like, it's 2 emotions at once. So it was like the craziest night ever and the worst loss ever put together in one night. It was my first away trip. So I'm in Michael A. Carroll Stadium watching my Cosmos take on the Indy 11. It's like the most heated rival. I think it was like 6 meetings prior to that night, that wonderful Saturday night when everything went down. And I was the only Cosmos fan in that section. And Nico Kranjar scored the penalty. And I was so excited. I was like, okay, we can finally get 3 points. We can finally win this and try to catch up to Carolina. But That didn't go according to plan. Somehow, and it was on the opposite side from where I was sitting. I didn't think it was a penalty. But Michael Carney of Total NASL, after the match, kept replaying the highlights, right? And then a couple of minutes after that, they just score a game winner, and like the whole place erupts. Yeah. And Mike is playing the replay of that, and like it's the best call ever. The best call ever by Greg Brekstra on Wish TV there in Indy. But I still don't know how we lost that match. It's like I've never experienced a Cosmos loss, and it hurt me so much. I don't know if you've experienced that with the Railhawks, Jason, but I mean, like every time they lose, it's like, okay, we lost, we'll play next week. But for some reason, this loss just like it's Thursday night. It's supposed to be like we're supposed to be thinking about Minnesota, and I'm still upset about last week's loss. So
I mean, I don't know. It just shows you how hard it is to win on the road. This past weekend, every single home team put up a win and collected 3 points. John, do you know the last time that in the NASL every team won? You're gonna have to go back to October 2013.
Wow.
Yeah, the last time that every single home team won. October 12th and 13th, so that Saturday, Sunday. I think the Railhawks were on a losing end to the Cosmos, I believe, that weekend.
That's the time when we came back, the Cardiac Cosmos.
No. That was a 4-0 loss on the road to the Cosmos, I do believe. But that's how it goes. Whatever. I don't want to think about that. But anyways, I was in the stands for the Railhawks game, trying to follow the Cosmos game on my phone. And around the 85th minute, when I see that it's 1-0 Cosmos, like, man, another week where both teams are going to be perfect 9 for 9 out of the potential points. And I just put my phone away. And at the end of the game, us Railhawks fans are celebrating in the stands because we just won the game. And one guy near the front of the supporter section yells out, "The Cosmos have lost 2-1." I'm like, what? I mean, I just saw that they were up 1-0 like 2 seconds ago. What happened? And I definitely have to catch the highlights. And I mean, good for Indianapolis. I hope all of you guys really remember that game. Probably one of the most memorable games that you saw in your stadium to date. Easily has to be. I'm sure it feels really good for them. As Railhawks fans, we were happy that we got the Cosmos backs a little bit. But I'm sure, John, you're kind of talking about the match. Unless there's any other words you haven't batted.
Well, let me just add a little bit. After the match, Indy 11 supporters, like, they couldn't even understand what happened either. You know what I mean? So they thought it was like the best night ever. Well, if you are a Indy 11 fan, it was the best night ever. People were just like mad, like, what's going on, like that. But even Tim Hakinson, he was asked after the match. He was told before the match that he needs to beat the Cosmos, and then he went on to beat the Cosmos, his team, and then he was asked after the match, so you beat the champions, now how do we move forward and be the champions, you know what I mean? And he was going on to say that.
I think it goes, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And right now the Carolina Railhawks are the best.
Yes, that was what he was asked. And they beat the best, and now they think they're the best, you know what I mean? So they have a bye week, which he claims that they need the bye week so their players can calm down and take in this big victory. But I personally think it's going to hurt them because you come off this big victory, right? And then you have the weekend off, the following week off, and then you play Rayo OKC on the road. You know what I mean? So I don't see how they're excited they are going to be because they're just going to be training throughout the next 2 weeks.
And think about all the fans that are whispering in their ear, maybe telling them that they're better than they actually are. Who knows?
Yeah, so that may come back to hurt them. But after the match, I thought Indy 11 were going to go on a great run. I'm not pretty sure. Some mixed emotions on Indy 11 post-match.
Yeah, well, they're undefeated so far this year, right? So we got to take them seriously.
Yeah, but I don't really like Indy 11 that much.
All right, we'll move on. So John can tolerate that. So we have Tampa Bay beating Edmonton 1-0. Sure, a result that most everybody saw coming. Edmonton has been one of the most passive teams in the league so far, really having to play on their back foot. If you look at to some stats on it, they're the worst in the league right now with average possession. They played in their own half more than anybody else. A large part of that, if you look at averages, was because they were down a man against Rayo for 60 minutes. But they played on their back against Tampa. And Tampa, for the first time all season, actually put in a goal in open play. The previous two goals came from penalty kicks. I think it's one goal or two goals. But Heidemann was able to put away a pretty wicked header for his first goal of the season. And I'm sure it has Tampa Bay feeling really excited. Another team is actually undefeated with 2 draws and 1 win. And that's actually where the Railhawks are going to be going next week. So it's going to be a pretty good clash. So in the fact that the Railhawks really do well on the road, and Tampa Bay is one of the better home teams in the league. We'll see how that shakes out coming up. But I really am impressed by the fact that Tampa Bay was able to control a match that everyone thought they would. They've been known to kind of play up or down to their opponents in the past. So good for them picking up the 3 points.
And Jason was saying that this weekend the Railhawks play the Tampa Bay Rowdies in that match. I think it's going to be on beIN Sports as well. So that's very exciting for your Railhawks.
Yeah, first time on beIN, so it'll be fun. But we'll get to those previews a little bit later at the end. Did you have any other thoughts about the Tampa Bay game, or do you want to move to the last one?
No, Tom Heidemann just comes up big for his Tampa Bay Rowdies. That's what they paid him for, right? That's what he's all the big bucks for. Yeah.
So I'm sure that his 1 goal per salary, that whatever he's making, is still not going to be enough. That they're going to want to see him do it all year. See how it goes. But the last matchup for the weekend was Minnesota stomping Fort Lauderdale Strikers 3-0. Again, this is a game that probably everybody saw coming. Strikers, they are playing like one of the worst teams in the league right now. I think it's because they have so much turnover from last year with their starting 11. They're not a team that's ready to really show that they've come together and play as a team. They have good talent. Who was it? I'm forgetting the Brazilian's name.
Cleberson?
No.
PC?
Thank you. So, I mean, PC was a guy who was really dangerous. He was a Railhawks killer last year. I'm surprised that they just haven't put together much of an offense. But Minnesota, this is what we thought they were. A team who's going to crush anyone who's playing below their game. They did just that. But actually, looking at the goals, when I saw the scoreline, I'm like, all right, Minnesota dominated. Looking at the goals, you had one own goal and another one that was goalie botched. He was trying to catch the ball out of the air, and instead of catching it, he fumbled it, and it fell right to Ramirez's feet. It pretty much had an open goal opportunity. So one really bad botch saved by the goalie and one own goal. That's what 67% of their goals in the match right there were kind of fluky. But I mean, can't take away the fact that they dominated the match with possession, and just controlling the match a little more.
Yeah,
thoughts on that?
You wouldn't expect anything else from Minnesota. Like Jason said, they dominate. They're maybe one of the best clubs in the league, and that's just how they play. And I'm not very optimistic about this weekend. And I know we're getting to the previews a bit soon. But Minnesota beating the Strikers, nothing is shocking about the result. And Minnesota finally coming together. And I remember when the Railhawks played Minnesota, you guys beat them, man. Your Railhawks beat them, and
it's because they didn't play Lang until the end of the game. That's why. That's pretty much one of the biggest reasons.
I don't know what Colin Craig was doing. Like, I don't know what was going through his head at that moment. He probably walked into the match thinking like, "Oh, we're gonna beat the Railhawks," and Colin Clark thought something else. So
for what I hear, it sounds like the coach and Lang are not really good buddies right now, and that they're saying Lang might be a little bit still not fully match fit, and is playing a little bit too much of an individual game. I mean, that's how he played with Edmonton. Edmonton put so much reliance on him. He could pretty much do whatever he wants. He could do no wrong with them. And, I mean, he got good results for Edmonton as well. But he's having trouble playing as a team member on a team that has so many superstars. We'll see how that transpires. We'll see if there's any infighting that develops over the season. But as far as it goes, they're going to still be a very dangerous offensive team. They proved it this past week. So to kind of summarize how everything looks right now, we have our Railhawks with 9 points, but right on their tails, there's going to be Minnesota United and Cosmos sitting there with 6 points. Right behind them, we have 2 teams tied at 5, 2 undefeated teams tied at 5 with Indy 11 and Tampa Bay Rowdies. And then after that, you kind of have the bottom, the second half of the table. But you have Jacksonville with 3 points, and then it gets a little bit more lousy with Miami with 2, and then a whole bunch of teams with 1. Rayo has 1, Fort Lauderdale has 1, Edmonton has 1, and Ottawa has 1 in that order down the table. So, I mean, Canada, they're not really pulling the weight so far. That's right. Looking at where the teams are at right now, let's play a little bit of a game of buy and sell. John, I'm gonna catch you on your toes here. So let's start with Carolina Railhawks. Do you buy them as top of the table team, or do you think they might slide down as the season goes on? It's hard just to stay on top. What do you think?
Well, I said earlier that they got lucky, right? Did I say on the show or before the show? I don't remember, but they got lucky, guys. The Railhawks are on a bit of a lucky run. But, yeah, I don't think they're a top-of-the-table team. I'm shocked to see them at the top of the table. I think they slide down before the end of the spring season.
Yeah, Minnesota United at that second spot right now. Personally, I kind of say this is a good holding position, potentially a move up if anything, but I don't see them dropping any lower than third. But do you think Minnesota, this is about where you would expect them on the table, number 2?
Yeah, for sure. Second place, Minnesota, maybe even first. That wouldn't shock me at all.
Yeah, Cosmos at number 3. Again, that's probably the lowest that might be on the table all year. But who knows? I mean, they're going to have their hands full going to Minnesota this coming weekend, so they might drop a little bit further. But after that, that's probably going to be the worst of it for them. But right now, number 3, would you buy or sell moving up or down?
I mean, we have 2 very important matches coming up. So I would say, yeah, top 3. Yeah.
Okay, so pretty much where they're at.
I'm hoping up. I'm hoping we go a bit more up the table, but you never know. I thought we were going to beat Indy 11, but that didn't happen.
Yeah. Now you have Indy 11 number 4, undefeated with 5 points. I mean, they had a big surprising win over the Cosmos, so they got one of the toughest games on their schedule out of the way. So do you think that this is going to be who they really are, or do you think they really overplayed Cosmos and who they really are is really not as good as that?
I think Indy 11 played 110%, and I saw on Twitter after the match that that's how they play every single day, that they put everything into the match. So I think if they play like that same performance against the Cosmos, and even though they were down 1-0, they still fought to the end. So if they continue playing like that, I see them moving up big time in the table.
Gotcha. Yeah, with Tampa Bay at number 5, also with 5 points. This is probably about where I would have put them, potentially a 4th spot, but right around 5 seemed about right for Tampa Bay. This is where they finished last season overall, too, and I kind of felt that's where Tampa Bay would be myself. I know they paid for a lot of really big players this year. They probably salary-wise, you could expect but just based off of the actual skill out that they're putting out in the field and how well they're putting together, I think 5's about right.
Yeah, 5 or 4. I wouldn't be shocked to see them in those slots.
Yeah. Now the bottom half of the table, Jacksonville at 6, probably a little bit higher than I thought, because you still have teams like Miami and Rayo that I thought would be a little bit higher. So I think Jacksonville is doing a little bit better than expected at the moment.
I mean, Jacksonville only played like 2 matches at the moment, I believe. So.
But their 2 matches is better results than some teams that have played 3.
Yeah, because they were never going to beat the Cosmos away, and they beat Miami at home, so that's big. And then they have to win on the road to move up the table. So
yeah, take care of business. And a team like Miami at number 7, this is definitely a little bit lower than what I would have expected from them, maybe by a little bit. I probably saw them topping out at about 5 or 6 or so. But Miami, I mean, this might be a team that's going to slide even further. I feel like a team like Rayo, they're going to bounce back and do fairly well. I see that Fort Lauderdale is very dangerous, and once they get things figured out, might have one of the more dangerous attacks in the league. So I feel like Miami might be due for a slide, and Rayo due for an upward trend pretty soon.
Yeah, right on with that. Rayo, if they get their ship right, they may be going up the table a bit more. And Miami FC, shocked where they are, but they are an expansion team struggling at the moment. They are only depending on Dario up front at the moment. Throw Pablo Campos in there, please.
Yeah, why is he not getting enough playing time? I don't know. I know losing Brad Rusin to an injury definitely didn't help their cause.
Yeah, but they got him back recently. He started this past match. So,
True.
yeah.
So the bottom of the table, we have Fort Lauderdale, Edmonton, and Ottawa. To be honest, a lot of people probably had them pegged here. I know Fort Lauderdale fans would have expected them to be better, but I think most people did have the two Canadian teams near the bottom of the table, in the bottom two or bottom three overall. So really, looking at it, the biggest surprises in terms of where teams are, I would argue that Rayo is lower than what I thought, and Carolina's higher than I thought. Outside of that, the table's pretty much sitting what I would have expected. Any surprises to you?
One big surprise. Carolina being top of the table.
Yeah.
Carolina being top of the table.
Well, we're full of surprises.
No one predicted that. No one. Like if you go back to everyone's like season preview besides Jason, no one predicted that. So
I predicted all three Carolina wins so far in our predictions. But I'm also it's also easy to do when you have homer picks.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people predicted the Cosmos to be higher than where they are as well. But I don't want to be biased or be a homer. You know what I mean? So yeah, let's continue the previews.
Yeah, so if we look ahead at some of the matches this coming weekend, we have let's see, Miami hosting Rayo. I feel like Rayo, they still have a bitter taste in their mouth after losing to Carolina the way that they did a couple weeks ago. And they're going to be eager to actually giving their team more time to heal, because during the Carolina game, there were a couple of guys that they had go down with injuries that were otherwise playing great. So I think that Miami is really a little bit worn out, frustrated. After not getting the kind of results that they wanted after 3 games so far, I think Rayo is going to be able to capitalize. One funny note on this is that I don't know if you that Miami, their ticket sales, they're offering for students $3 tickets to this match for students. That is it's crazy.
Yeah, it really is. But they want to fill up the stadium, right?
What do you think the results for this match is going to be?
It's Rayo,
Miami.
Going
to Miami.
I don't know. I really see Rayo getting the 3 points here. I'm gonna go with a 2-1 Rayo victory, and they get their first 3 points of the season.
Yeah, I have the same thing written down on my notes. Is a 2-1 Rayo victory. I think that Rayo is probably going to steal this one in late fashion. Not as dramatic as how Carolina stole one from Rayo, but I think they might still one in the second half, because Miami just hasn't proven that they can really hold up in the second half. So and going to Saturday,
Dario goal for Miami as well. Who else is going to score for Miami?
Maybe Pablo Campos.
Oh yeah, maybe he comes on as a late sub or something like that.
Yeah,
super sub Pablo Campos.
One thing to note though is that Rayo OKC, their goalie is actually last in the. They've only played 2 games, but still, bear with me. Their goalie is actually last in the league in saves per shots faced. His rate of saving shots is only 50%, which is pretty crummy for a goalie. That's the worst in the league. But again, it's only 2 games. Stats are rapidly changing in the early season so far. So moving on to the Saturday night, we have Fort Lauderdale hosting Jacksonville Armada. Armada have never won on the road in the past 16 attempts. That's pretty bad. They have a different coach. They have a good number of different players. Offense. Now, Fort Lauderdale, they're catching a team that has been playing pretty crummy. So, are you going to be bold enough, John, to predict Jacksonville's first road win ever? Or are you going to go the course, say that Fort Lauderdale's going to take care of Jacksonville?
Well, I'm going to not be that bold, because I'm not that type of guy. And and I really don't see Jacksonville or Armada winning on the road. They're never gonna win on the road. No, I'm joking.
No,
eventually,
I want them to win this game.
Eventually, they will win. but I don't see them beating the Strikers on the road. Maybe a draw or a victory for the Strikers. I'm going with the draw. I predict a 1-1 draw.
I got you. Yeah, I really think that this is a game that Jacksonville should win, to be perfectly honest. I think that the better team on paper, better team on the eye test, a game that they really should win. But until they ever win a road game, I can't do it. I just can't. And I'm going to say Fort Lauderdale's going to win 1-0. So the next game up is Tampa Bay versus your Carolina Railhawks. And this game is going to be a game at 7:30. It's going to be on BN. Railhawks. I mean, they showed that they could play a little bit better on the road this season when they beat Rayo with a pretty historical win on Carolina's side. But Tampa, they're a really tough team to play at home. So, John, I know for your Cosmos, you guys want the Carolina Railhawks to lose. That's obvious. But do you think it's going to happen, or do you think? I don't know. What do you expect?
I'm being totally honest with you, Jason. I expect a 3-0 Rowdies victory. Tom Heineman is going to come up real big and score a hat trick. Like Spencer is going to be like the most shocked supporter at Al Lang Stadium. And
I would love to see Heineman try that on Big James Marcelin. Good luck, buddy. I think Marcelin is going to lock him down, and I'd be surprised if he picks up 2 goals. But I think Tampa Bay is probably going to find their 1 goal. And the Railhawks are going to continue their role and win 2-1. Now, here's a statistic on another reason why I think that this is going to happen. Last year, when I did some statistical analysis on what was the most impactful stats to actually earn points on the table, and one of the most impactful stats was mistakes. Obviously, a stat in the negative direction, so the more mistakes, the more you do. Specifically, fouls that you were yellow cards that you were earning. Obviously, red cards are bad, allowing goals are bad, scoring goals are really good. But I was really surprised such a strong correlation between earning points and having yellows called on you. I said all this to say this. Tampa Bay is actually worst in the league so far, averaging 3.3 yellow cards per game. And the Railhawks are actually the best in the league, only averaging 1 yellow card per game. Now, also, Tampa Bay Rowdies are last in the league of winning tackles, dispossessing their opponent and winning tackles. In 3 games, the Railhawks are number 1 in the league of not allowing their opponent to dispossess them off of tackles. So you have the toughest team to steal the ball off of versus the worst team that's actually been stealing the ball against a team that, again, Railhawks being the most disciplined, allowing the least fouls, least steals, against a team that has the most fouls and most steals. So if you want to make a bonus prediction on this, John, I'm going to say that the reason that Carolina's win 2-1 is because they're going to be facing a 10-man Tampa Bay team at some point in the match.
Whoa, we just got hit with a stat attack, guys. Like, that's really like a new segment on the show, like stat attack warning. No, but Jason loves his stats. No, but yeah, we just got schooled, and if that happens, man, I think we owe you your own segment on the show, right?
Okay. If you saw last week's episode, it pretty much was the whole show. It was my segment. Okay. So the next match to talk about is your Minnesota United FC versus the New York Cosmos. Oh, I had it backwards. My fault. I had this one backwards. Yes. So it's Minnesota United FC versus the New York Cosmos. 2 teams are like, talk about a clash of the Titans. This is going to be a very fun match to watch. Probably easily the match of the week to definitely watch. 2 teams that have superpower offenses, untested defenses, to be perfectly honest. But I'm gonna expect a lot of fireworks in this game, John. What do you think?
I'm really shocked that this match is not on beIN Sports this weekend. You know what I mean? Like, they're showing Carolina, or they didn't know it was going to be a top of the table Carolina.
They're showing 2 undefeated teams. That's what they're showing.
But they didn't. This schedule got released before the matches were.
They knew something that nobody. I'm sorry, John. I'm just kidding.
It's match fixing. What are you guys doing? No, I'm not. I'm just joking. But yeah, Minnesota, New York Cosmos. I'm not very optimistic going into Saturday night, just because we lost against the Indy 11 to face Minnesota, It's not a great place to play. It's a very tough place to play for the Cosmos. We struggled last year, thanks to Raul, our savior, for getting a goal in Minnesota to get a point. So, I mean, it just matters what kind of squad we throw out there, because Jimmy Maurer was out last week because his wife gave birth. So if Jimmy Maurer is back, I surely think our back line is going to be very strong. Last week it wasn't that strong. We were just defending for like most of the 90 minutes. So the keys to the match really is for the Cosmos just score early. Number two is have a very strong back line and attack more than we defend, and we need to play our game for the full 90 minutes, because last week Indy 11 was taking us out of our game, and that really hurt us, and that's why we lost the match.
Yeah, playing in front of probably 10,000 fans in Minnesota this weekend. Hopefully, it doesn't feel too much like deja vu for you guys from last weekend playing in such a big stadium. But I think this can be, again, an amazing game to watch. Goals can really be coming from literally any player on the field. It's going to be that stacked with of talent versus talent. Now, the good news for the Railhawks is that this game could not be coming at a better time, considering the Railhawks are up 3 points ahead of both Minnesota and New York. So if either team wins and Carolina loses, the worst case scenario, we're still tied for first. So what I'm really hoping for in this matchup, outside of the Carolina win earlier in the day, but I'm hoping that Minnesota and New York draw to keep both teams behind the Railhawks no matter what. So I think both teams have enough talent to make it happen. But I'm going to say that this game is going to be so back and forth, played so aggressively, two teams that want to beat each other so bad, take control of the top of the table, that it's actually going to snuff out a lot of the offensive opportunities, and it's going to finish in a 1-1 draw.
Jason, if that happens, I will be really upset. I will be really upset. A loss, a draw, and then we have a bye week as well, and then we face Carolina at home on May 1st.
It's going to be a long 2 weeks.
Yes, it really would be. So, I mean, we're going to go there for 3 points, of course. We're not going to go there for a point. So if we come back with 3 points, I will be really excited. Not for that bye week, but for the home match on May 1st against Jason's Carolina Railhawks. And hopefully Dean Linke makes a trip, and I would like to meet him.
Question. If the Cosmos beat United, Minnesota United, does that erase in your mind the Indianapolis loss? Does this make up for that if Cosmos can win?
I mean, the loss is still going to sting,
Sure.
if that makes sense. But I think we have to fix the wrong, and the only way we can do that is by winning against Minnesota and just keep on winning matches. We can't struggle, and it's hard to say that because it's really early on in the spring season. We won 2 matches at home, and then our first test on the road, and we're struggling. It's our first road match. So, I mean, Cosmos, like, I've never talked to Cosmos supporters about the loss, but personally, it really hurts. But it's our first road match, so I think that's something that a lot of people have to understand, is that it's our first test on the road. We're having a second test, and yeah, so we're going to struggle throughout the season, and this is our first time.
Yeah. Well, it'd be interesting. Again, a fun game to watch. It'd be huge for the Cosmos to win. In my opinion, I feel like it would erase the Indy loss. I mean, whenever you can win a game that you're the underdog after losing a game where you're undefeated, I mean, it makes up for it. So the last game of the weekend, arguably the most exciting match in the history of the NASL, FC Edmonton hosting Ottawa Fury.
Let's label it. I've labeled it once the Canadian Derby or something like that, and Taylor said no, it's not. It's not like that. No. So I was like, okay, I'm sorry.
Regardless of both these teams being from Canada, put that to the side. The fact that these two teams are 10 and 11 on the bottom of the table, I know it's going to be on a Sunday. I'm still going to watch it, but I'm going to watch it because I just love soccer. But I'm curious to see what the ratings are going to be on this particular match. But going to a little bit of analysis, I think arguably these two teams have the best defenses across the league. I know Ottawa lost a lot of defensive guys, but they really impressed the heck out of me watching them play in the Carolinas. Pizer and Van Oekel, two of the better goalies in the NASL. I'm going to be shocked if either team actually can crack the other one. I'm feeling a 0-0 draw. Anything more than a 0-0 draw, I'll be surprised.
I'm gonna go with a 1-1 draw. I want to see some goals. We have to fire up our ESPN3 on Sunday. It's gonna be a hell of a match. Let's market the hell out of this Canadian Sunday matinee. Right? It's in the afternoon, right?
8 o'clock at night, Sunday, I think. Or no, I'm sorry, that can't be right. There's no way that's right. Let me check my sources. But one other thing I want to say about this one is that Edmonton, they're the only team in the league that has not scored yet, which is kind of scary.
And this is Edmonton's first home match as well.
Second.
Oh, second. My apologies to Edmonton.
Yeah. So this game is going to be 4 o'clock. My fault. I need to change my notes. It's a 4 o'clock match on Sunday. Oh man, yeah, you cannot. There's not enough I don't want to say about this game. I don't know how to word it, but yeah, this is going to be ugly. It's going to be very defensive soccer, but enjoy it, I suppose. If you need to, I suppose. We have a few adult beverages to work our way through it. 0-0.
We want to see some goals. We want to see some goals, Jason.
Oh yeah, but you're talking about two awesome defensive teams and two awesome goalies. I just don't think it's going to happen. Both these teams have been struggling to own possession.
So if you want goals, just go watch the Cosmos Minnesota match because Jason said that we would see goals at that match. So hopefully it's like tons of Cosmos goals. So Jason, I want to throw a rumor at you, and some sources that I don't know who they are, but other people said that their sources said it's not true and he's not coming to the Cosmos. Francesco Totti, 24 years with Roma, a legend in Italy and with Roma, of course, rumored to come to the New York Cosmos. Your thoughts, Jason? And before we ask Jason, he's 39 years old, so let's not make that part of.
I'm not 39 years old. Totti is 39 years old.
Yes.
So he's going to be challenging our Capono Low and Rayo Samaras for the AARP man of the match.
Whoa. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Joking aside, man. Yeah, joking aside. Your thoughts on?
I think that it would be amazing for the NASL. It'd be a similar caliber to picking up a guy like Raul from last year. Even if they can just get him for the rest of the spring, just the additional buzz that it can create for the league would be pretty cool. Now, I don't know how match fit he is. It doesn't sound like the current club that he was with previously really wants to see him back. So he looks like he's ready to be shopped around.
I mean, he came on
Cosmos, it's going to be. I'm going to say if he came to the Cosmos, you have to easily put him back as one of the top dogs that you're going to expect to roll over some teams. But my question for you, John, is if they bring him in, what's your lineup going to look like? You have so many guys. You only have one ball in the field. You can only play with so many forwards and midfielders. Are you just going to go out like what? You're going to play one goalie, two defenders, and all the rest midfield and forwards?
Well, at the moment we're playing with one up front, so I would think we would have to play with two up front. That would make so much sense because if you look at our forwards, we have Lucky, Arrieta, and Yasmani Duke. Duke hasn't played a minute in the NASL yet. Then you have Lucky just comes on as a sub. He came on I think like in an 80-something minute against Indy, and Arrieta is our starter at the moment. So if we add Totti City for the fall season, he will be in that bunch, and that's the worst part about having a big squad is they're all not going to be. Yeah, for sure. But then when you look at a big squad, people are like, oh, this is a deep team. This is a great team. But it is a great team, but there's not enough playing time. And Lucky played great last year, and we're not seeing enough of Lucky this year. We signed Arrieta in the offseason, and now he's starting out of nowhere. Is he the best striker on the team? I'm not pretty sure. We didn't see a lot from him. He's only started 3 matches. So, the Cosmos, they really didn't deny it at all. But Gio always says that he doesn't want to talk about a player that is not signed with them and is signed with another team. So we've heard that loads of times with Raul and other players that sign with the club. So, personally, I don't think it's off the cards at the moment. I could see it happening. A lot of supporters don't want to see it because of his age, but he came off the bench, scored 2 goals. I really think he will bring a lot to the Cosmos, even though he's 39 years old. He looks really, really, really fit. And just to have him for the fall season and maybe the rest of next season, it'll be huge to have Totti in the Cosmos playing against the Railhawks, playing against other Rowdies. A
It's
big,
going to be
big
tough.
player.
Yeah, it's going to be tough trying to define roles on the team. Just having the guys that would have played with him during the spring, asking them to take a back seat is going to be tough to a lot of egos. On a team that's made up of so many superstars, everybody wants to be on the field. Everyone wants to be the man. And I'm kind of feel like I've seen it already with the Cosmos. I don't think they've had too much of an identity of what the roles actually are. They've just been outplaying teams just by raw talent. But they're going to need to start developing that team play a little bit better. Bringing in a superstar like that, of already having so many superstars on a team, I mean, it might be a locker room nightmare, but I'm sure it'll still be very exciting for the fans to see.
I mean, like, by you saying that the players that played in the spring and then say Totti comes in the fall, he's a superstar. He's gonna be in front of Lucky in a second. You know what I mean? Would fans want to see that? Probably not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but a guy like Lucky, is he going to even want to be on the Cosmos? Is he going to want to get traded and go off to another team because he's like, I'm never going to get playing time this year?
I just think it depends on how long they sign Totti for, or how long he thinks he's going to play for. But hopefully, if they do sign Totti, hopefully they offer him like some type of post-playing career job with the Cosmos, because they claim when they signed Raul, they were like, oh, he's going to head the academy eventually. Raul is the North America ambassador for La Liga. Is he going to be the head of the Cosmos Academy? I don't think so. So, so I just think, like, Gio claims that when players play for the club, they want them to work for the club after their career. Senna, he's working for Villarreal right now, and he claims he's scouting Spanish talent. So I don't know. It's pretty confusing. But that's what New York Cosmos did this weekend. That concludes our show. Jason, do you want to add any last words?
Nah, just let's go Railhawks. Stay on top of the table. It'd be amazing if we could potentially win against Tampa, but at least a draw would guarantee that we're going to stay on top of the table for right now. Worst case scenario is if we get blown out and either Minnesota or Cosmos blow each other out, and we lose that top spot. Because, again, I feel like this is a team that we're going to need to stay ahead. It's going to be really tough to jump anybody on the top of the table, because it's going to be so competitive with the sprint of the season. Oh, one last thing I do want to say. Last spring, the Cosmos won with 20 points. Do you think this year it's going to take more or less than 20 points to win the spring? We're 3 games in, and Carolina already has 9.
I would say it's going to take 20 points as well. Again.
Really? I feel like it's probably going to take closer to 23, 24 points.
Well, we lost
a lot of points on the table.
So
yeah, it's a lot of points.
Yeah, so that concludes our show here. You can follow Jason on Twitter, and you can see his third, whatever you call it. So check out us on Twitter at Total NASL. Subscribe if you are new, and if you want to stay up to date on all our latest videos. Comment below, who do you think is going to win the league? Do you think the Railhawks are going to stay top of the table? Hopefully not, because Jason is just so optimistic, so excited by his team. But do you blame him? He's a Railhawks supporter. And yeah, thanks, and we will see you guys next week.